In our previous videos, we've talked about some of the tools that streamers use to interact with their audiences and how they can be adapted to online teaching. In particular, so far we've talked about OBS, which allows us to build a custom video feed, and Discord, which allows us to build a community around different ways of interacting with students and facilitating students' interactions with each other. The third piece of the puzzle that I'm going to cover in this series is Twitch. And if you're not familiar with Twitch, well, you're in for something. This big mess of an interface is twitch.tv. And twitch.tv is a streaming site, probably the most famous and most successful streaming site out there. Most of what's on my screen here is gaming of one form or another. Not all of it. Here's a music streamer. Here's someone streaming Phantom Abyss, Dead by Daylight. As you can see, even Ultimate Fighting Championship streams on Twitch. The long and short of it is that Twitch is a platform that allows people to stream content to lots and lots of online viewers, just like we are. And because of their size, their scope, and their focus on gaming, Twitch is accessible in lots and lots of places where our classes usually aren't. In a past video, I mentioned the example of my student who would watch my Twitch stream on her PlayStation sitting on her couch and chat with the class over Discord during our synchronous sessions. Pretty much, if a device has an internet connection, it has access to Twitch. And that's one of the things that I like about it. Another thing is, it makes a lot of the fuss about dealing with online video a lot more straightforward. We no longer have to worry about things like hosting. We no longer have to worry about having separate editing or encoding software. Once you get hooked up to Twitch, Twitch does most of the work for you. So Twitch makes it easy for us to stream our content to our students without having to worry too much about any of the video complexity. This video is going to offer a short introduction to how to stream to Twitch, and especially how to integrate it with the tools that we've already used, specifically OBS. And it's going to show some of the basic features of Twitch that I think are especially useful for online instruction. Let's get started. Because Twitch is by far the most dominant streaming platform, OBS is designed to integrate really easily with Twitch. So I want to show you how to do that. You'll notice that my OBS shows that I'm recording right now, but right above that is a button that says Start Streaming. If I push Start Streaming, instead of saving this recording to my laptop, it would stream my broadcast to Twitch. Here's how I set that up. If I click on Settings, you'll notice there's a whole section here that says Stream. Once you click on Stream, there's not a whole lot to do here. If it's not already selected, select Twitch under Service. Auto for the server has never been a problem for me. And the only piece of information that you really need is your stream key. You'll even notice that there's a button here that says Get Stream Key. I'm going to click that now. You will, of course, need to create a Twitch channel, which I'll assume that you've already done. Since I'm logged into Twitch, it takes me immediately to my primary stream key, and I'm not going to show you that right now because that would allow you or anybody who saw this video to stream to my channel, because it's kind of magic. But automatically, it'll generate a stream key for you. All you have to do is copy that stream key and paste it right here, and then hit OK. And that's really all it takes to stream to Twitch. Once you've got that done, hitting that Start Streaming button will immediately broadcast your OBS feed to Twitch. Streaming to Twitch by itself is really pretty much that easy. There's not a whole lot to do from there. The question is, what do we do with those streams once they've happened? One of the things that I love about Twitch is that it makes it really easy to have a permanent record of the things that happen in class. If I were using Zoom for my synchronous sessions, for example, I would need to remember to record each session of my class. When that recording is done, I would get the email that said it was available, and then I would be able to send that email link out to my students. But there are a few limitations about that I don't personally particularly care for. To my knowledge, the only way to do that is to send out the link to the entire recording, which sometimes is not what I want to do. My synchronous sessions often have interactive activities where students are working with each other, and I may be popping in from one group to another. And on stream, not a lot is happening because everything is happening in small groups. Or maybe there are several things that I might want to refer back to that happen in a given session, but I don't want to have students filter through the entire 2-hour class in order to find those specific moments that I want to emphasize. This is what's great about Twitch. If you look at my Twitch settings, you'll see that there's a toggle here for Store Past Broadcasts. I have this enabled, which means that after I stream something for 2 weeks, Twitch holds the entire stream on the server beginning to end. Now, typically, I don't want to use the whole stream beginning to end. Typically, there's stuff that's happening in that class that isn't necessarily things that my students are going to want to be able to refer back to. However, leaving that setting enabled means that my streams are still available as VODs for a 2-week period after I stream. And once they're available as VODs, that means that I can go back and highlight them. And highlights get saved forever. Let me show you. For my creator dashboard, if I click on content, I can go to video producer and it'll show me all of the stuff that is currently on my channel. And you'll see next to my most recent stream, a highlight button. The stream itself will only be available for 14 days after I stream it. But like I said, typically I only want to keep certain parts of the stream to make available to my students long term. Obviously, if we're using these for instructional purposes, our streams are not going to be playing video games, but I used games today just so that I could have something easy for us to distinguish. In this stream, I played a short stretch of 2 different video games, and I'm going to show you how we can use highlights to separate those 2 different sections of this stream and to make them permanently available. Here's how it works. When you click on that highlight button, you get a view of the stream and you get a timeline. This timeline allows you to set where your highlight will begin and end, and the yellow bar represents the length of the highlight. So if I hit play here, we'll watch Tiny Josh here play Dark Forces, one of my favorite computer games from when I was a kid. And maybe we don't want the loading screen. Maybe this is where we want to start. We can drag our cursor down here. We can scrub to find the place we want to begin in the timeline. And as you can see, there's a button here that says Start Segment at Playhead. So we'll say that's the beginning of our highlight. But maybe I don't want to watch myself play this whole segment. Again, I can scrub through and jump around and find the spot that I'm interested in. At this point in the stream, I have died. So that's where I'm going to end this segment. Again, end segment at Playhead. You'll notice that this yellow box now covers the first chunk of the video. I could hit Publish Highlights, and then that would send this particular section as a highlight by itself. But what I'm going to do here is name this and as I mentioned, I played another game in this stream. I played a little bit of Zelda. So what I can also do is add a second highlight. It often happens that there are multiple things that happen in a class that I want my students to have access to. Rather than having them have the whole stream available to them and have to filter through, I can pull out those key moments by creating separate highlights. So since I've also died in The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past randomizer, I can skip past all of me going through my menus and all the other stuff that I don't actually care about. It is not a part of the game. And I can jump right to where the game loads. As before, I can skip ahead to my inevitable death and end segment at Playhead. Now I have 2 different highlights. One of them pulling out the part where I'm playing Dark Forces, the other pulling out the part where I'm playing A Link to the Past randomizer. If I hit Publish Highlights, it'll give me the opportunity to give descriptions and tags and make a thumbnail for all of these things. It'll also give me the video URL, which will be helpful in a minute. I'll type a quick description, hit Save and Next. Again, Save and Next. It'll take a while for these to process, but these are now highlights, which means, like all these other highlights on my list, they're going to stick around forever, which I suppose now means that people will be able to watch me die very quickly in easy video games forever. It'll take a few minutes for these to process. So once they've processed, I'll show you how to use these on Canvas or the LMS that your college uses to make them easily available to students. Now that those highlights have processed, which usually doesn't take very long, let me show you how to use those on Canvas and to make them available to your students. My institution uses Canvas, so I'm going to show you how it works on Canvas, but the process should be pretty similar no matter which LMS you're using. So, first and easiest, if I right-click on the Watch button, I can copy link, and then I can simply use it as a link in any Canvas page. I'm going to click the link button here. I'm going to paste my link. Now, if I click on this link, it'll take me to the highlight on twitch.tv. Now, most of the features that Twitch has to offer are not things that I use for my classes. So it's very rare for me to have a page linked to a Twitch page just like this. What I do often use that watch URL for, though, is to place on the course menu or in a module, because that's a really easy thing to do, and it will have this video linked as top level content in one of my modules. What I'm more likely to do is to use the second method that I'm going to show you. If I'm wanting to include a highlight in a page on Canvas, I use a different method, which is a little bit more complicated, but I think a lot more helpful. So I'm going to click on the second video. I'm going to go to the watch page. And once it loads, I'm going to click on the share button here. You'll notice there's a whole bunch of different ways to share. What I'm interested in is embed. When I click on this, it'll give me a whole bunch of gibberish, which you don't need to read, but we're going to use the iframe method. If I copy this, if I just paste it into my page, I get this same gibberish just pasted into my page, which is certainly not what I want. So I'm not going to do that. By default, Canvas is letting me edit what students see. What we want to do is edit what the computer sees. On Canvas, the button that I'm looking for looks like this. It'll look different for other LMSs, but almost every LMS I've ever used allows you to edit the HTML of a page. So if I click on that, it converts everything into gibberish. And now, when I paste the gibberish here, it's telling the computer, this gibberish is for you, not for students. The last thing that we need to do with this gibberish is make sure that Twitch knows who it's talking to. So our gibberish here is telling Twitch to send the video somewhere. We just need to make sure that it knows where to send the video. So where it says www.example.com, we're going to replace that with the domain of our LMS. So it's easy to find that. It's just going to be right here in the URL bar. So for my institution, that's cos.instructure.com. Now, when I save this, instead of just a link to the video, it's going to actually embed the video here on the page, so that when my students load this in Canvas, they can actually see the video right there as a part of the page. And I can put whatever I want to around it. And that way, it's really easy for my students to find the stuff that I've posted and for me to provide context for it. So usually if I have a video like this that I'm putting in a page, I have a short introduction and I have often stuff for them to do with it afterwards. As I said before, the way that I use Twitch is not really the way that it's intended. I use it just as a platform for streaming, saving, and hosting the stuff that I do in class. But in that capacity, it works really well as a way of giving students easy access to what happened in class that I can curate without having to do a ton of fiddly editing.